It's summertime, which means time for a new MCU film, and Marvel has just given us Thunderbolts. Was it worth watching? I'll let you know.
Engaging defensive measures.
Oh my god.
Wait, that's not supposed
Oh my god.
Hi everyone, my name is Bob and welcome to Was It Good? Today we're going to be talking about the new MCU film Thunderbolts. Now this review will be spoiler free, but if you've seen the movie already, feel free to go ahead and spoil away and drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you a fan of where the MCU is going? Are you even a fan of the franchise anymore? I'd really like to know what you thought, and if you haven't seen it, why don't you go ahead and let me know what your interest level is. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and support the channel by hitting subscribe. Let's get to it. In Thunderbolts, Marvel Studios assembles an unconventional team of antiheroes: Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian, Ghost, and John Walker. After finding themselves ensnared in a death trap set up by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, these disillusioned cast-offs must embark on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their pasts. Will this dysfunctional group tear themselves apart, or find redemption and unite as something much more before it's too late? I gotta admit, it's become very frustrating watching a lot of the new entries in the MCU. Just when it seems like Marvel might be listening, they do something else to drop even further.
Yes, I remember.
A lot of fans like myself have been hoping they'd get back on track.
Would an enema help?
Following the disaster that was Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts seemed kind of interesting to me. The trailer made it look fun, and the characters seemed cool. So now that I've seen it, is Marvel back? I think there are several things to like in this movie. First off, I think the story's better than a lot of what was in Phase 4 and 5.
It's a pretty low bar these days.
It follows the formula from a lot of team-up movies, and it's probably a good thing that it doesn't stray too far from that, but it also adds a unique element by focusing on the mental health of a couple of the characters, one of which I thought was handled very well. I do have a couple of comments on that a little bit later, but for one of the characters, I thought it was handled pretty well for the most part. Also, I like that it dove into the past of some of the characters, and I wish it would have actually dove a little bit deeper into some of those. So overall, I enjoyed the story a lot more than some of the more recent entries in the Marvel franchise. Next, I think this movie did more to advance the MCU forward than a lot of the Disney Plus shows and other films in Phase 4 and 5. And part of that is because they actually touched on certain things. First off, the asterisk behind the team name is addressed.
Yeah, it's called the Revenges.
And though they're not called the Revengers, without spoiling anything, it's very clear from the trailers that the team name Thunderbolts is very much a work in progress, and they're actually going somewhere with that. And that plays into the end credits as well as the end credits scene. I think all of those things did, again, a lot more to advance the MCU forward, so I enjoyed that about the movie as well. But the best thing about the movie are the characters, and it's very clear that the main character is Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, and it's probably unfair that her character is always going to be compared to Natasha Romanoff, but what can I say? That's what happens with little sisters.
This is our daughter, Dottie. This is our other daughter, Dottie's sister.
And though audiences are always going to have a hard time accepting her as Black Widow, I did enjoy her in this film a lot more than some of the previous entries she was in, so overall, I didn't have any issues with Yelena. Another character that I really found interesting was the character of John Walker, and I found him interesting back in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I continue to find this character pretty interesting, despite the fact that a lot of people in the MCU just see him as the discount Captain America.
I was actually the official Captain America, so.
He gets moments where we look into his past and his family life a little bit, and I found those to be very intriguing, and I would have liked to have seen more of that. But there are two characters that actually stole the show for me. First off is the one played by David Harbour.
The Red Guardian.
What?
He was hilarious for most of the film as he provided the comedic relief, and he stole a lot of the scenes that he was in. So the Red Guardian for me was one of the highlights of the film. But the character that drives the narrative is the character of Bob. And I don't really want to get into a whole lot about him because there are some surprises with him. But I think Lewis Pullman delivers a great performance as he brings a lot of emotion, both positive and negative. And so once you see his performance, I do think most people will appreciate what he brings to this role. Unfortunately, despite the positives, there are plenty of negatives with this film, and one of the biggest ones is the plot convenience. Just an example is that at one point you have 4 different characters with 4 different missions, all ending up at the same place at exactly the same time without any prior knowledge of it.
Oh, come on!
And the plot convenience just runs throughout the film, and I found that to be a real drag on the story. The next thing is kind of a minor thing, but it revolves around the team named Thunderbolts.
What kind of stupid name is that?
And though I mentioned that the team name is clearly a work in progress, the explanation they gave behind the initial team name I thought was kind of ridiculous, where the trailer actually made it look like it was something that the Red Guardian came up with on the fly. And I think that that would have been much more enjoyable than the explanation that they gave. Again, it's something minor, but I wanted to throw it out there. Now, the film's weakest link is the character of Valentina. I didn't particularly like her as a villain. I thought she was not a memorable character at all. I thought the motivations were ridiculous. And overall, I just did not like her in the role of the villain. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she was okay in the role, but nothing really memorable there. Now, there are a couple more things that I want to discuss. The first has to do with Marvel humor. Marvel has a bad habit of throwing jokes into the worst possible moments. Now, there are several parts where the jokes do land. As I said, that the Red Guardian was pretty good at some of that comedic relief, but there are others where the jokes are not landing at all, and they just keep carrying it on, and it's at the worst possible moment. So this is just a continued problem for Marvel films. Also, when we get to the climax of the movie, the way that it ends just had me saying,
Right.
the ending goes back to this element that they introduced earlier, and that was the mental health of some of the characters, and it actually just leads to a flat ending. So even though I enjoyed some of the portions of it, and what they did with one of the characters really made sense, and I enjoyed that, I get what they were trying to do with the ending, but it really just fell flat for me. Real quick, before I get into my final thoughts, I want to remind you to go ahead and check out the other videos on my channel. Maybe I've reviewed something that you're interested in, or something that you've seen already and you'd like to let me know what you thought about it. Also, for those that are interested, I do have another YouTube channel with a couple of my friends where we put on a show called Dad's Turn to Talk. This is an opportunity for three dads to get together and talk about the things that we want to talk about, including movies, sports, pop culture, and have a little bit of fun at each other's expense. The link to that channel will be in the description below. Final thoughts. Was it good? I thought this was a decent movie for the most part that was made better by some fun characters. If I had to rate it, I'd rate it a 6 out of 10, and that's mainly because of the characters. Now, I don't think it's as bad as some of the hate that it's getting online, but I don't think it's as good as a lot of the praise that it's getting either. Overall, I thought this was an average Marvel movie that was made better because of the characters. Now, if you're a big fan of the MCU and you like most of what they bring out, I say go ahead and check it out because you're probably going to enjoy it. If you're just a casual fan, then you'll probably enjoy it, but you can also wait for streaming and you'll still be caught up in time for the next entry in the Marvel franchise. But overall, I had a decent time with this one. And again, I think it's better than a lot of the previous stuff that's come out lately. Now, if you're still watching this long, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.